campus of Purdue Northwest. Um, Kind of nice out. I mean, it's got a weird glow because there's a little bit of snow coming down, and we could tell already that it's cloudy out to the east, so you don't have that it's gray again feeling. You have this it's snowing kind of feeling, and that's what's going to happen today. Cold with flurries this morning and breezy. Let's see, what's the wind right now? It's from the west to northwest at about 20 to 30 miles an hour. One thing working in my favor out there just now is that I was up against the wall here on the east side of the Purdue Northwest Commercialization Center, and that pretty much blocks the wind. Maybe I had a little bit coming out around this corner, but man, I'll tell you what, as soon as I walked around the corner and felt that wind, it is very chilly. The real feel is right around 21 degrees or so with the wind chill. So 28 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios, going up to a high of 38. Also, tomorrow, partly sunny and a high of 43. And then by Wednesday, a high of 49 with rain. And then by Thursday, a high in the mid-40s again. And then on Friday, sunny but chilly and a high in the upper 40s. Your lows throughout the week, right now is about as low as you get overnight. From Sunday to Monday, then tonight it gets down to about 29 degrees again. Wednesday it gets down in the mid-30s. Thursday it gets down below or to freezing again, and the same thing on Friday night. So you've got some cold nights, and I like to, I don't sleep real well. You guys already know that. I'm not a sleeper. I wish I was. I wish I could just hit and then just go to bed for the whole night. I don't know if you've just seen so much life after a while, you just start worrying all the time. But I can hear the heater going on a whole bunch overnight. And that always, like, oh, great, that means it's going to be cold. And I'm sure you got the same thing going on, is that, I mean, this is midwinter weather. And it's been that way for a while. How about yesterday? Was yesterday one of the worst Sundays weather-wise on record? It's mid-April, and you're looking to do something outside, and it was kind of sideways, nasty, wet rain all day. And then when it wasn't raining, it was kind of windy and just wet and really kind of depressing. So, knock, knock, who's there? Weather brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum of that fine union. Let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue. Hey, they're all moving along pretty well. And traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. All right. Anybody want to call in? 219-845-1100. I'll take your phone calls. What do you got? Something on? Oh, Jesus. I put this down on a wire, and I partially spilled my tea. I would say I get about once a month, don't you? One spill a month in here. And so it's mid-April. It's about time. I haven't had one. And Ryan comes with the number one thing you got to worry about in radio is just don't spill it on the board. The board's really expensive. The computer, you can get a new keyboard. That's not a big deal. Keyboard's, what, $30, $40? But the board, yeah, you're going to go into the thousands on that. So, all right, let me wipe this up. This is not the first time that's happened, right? As a matter of fact, as you do it more and more and you spill more and more, you get quicker at just kind of reacting. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on around here in the Calumet region. We have a federal trial going on, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's take a phone call. Let's go to Lefty on line 599. Lefty, how are you this morning?
Good morning, buddy. Hey, what paper you got in your hand there?
I got about 6 papers in my hand. Wall Street, Tribune, USA Today, Times, Post. Which one you want?
I want the Gary Crusader.
The Gary Crusader.
Yeah, my good friend's the poster child in there.
What are you talking about?
Mayor McDermott.
Oh, the nosy column.
You seen that?
I did see that.
Well, why
Yes.
didn't you bring that paper with you today then?
No, I had it. I had it. I don't have the paper. Somebody took a snapshot and sent it to me. But evidently, there is some discord that is spilling over into the print media between between Vertley Suggs and Hammond Maritime McDermott.
Okay.
What do you want? Is there something you want to say about that, or what?
I'm just happy to see he made that paper. I mean, he goes on that radio station over there, WLTH, and shoots his mouth off all the time. You know?
Well, here's what the Crusader is saying. WJOB radio host Vertley Suggs has managed to get on Hammond Maritime McDermott's bad side. From what Nosy hears, Suggs, who co-hosts a show on the Hammond station, has taken Junior McDermott to task over some of his policies. Now, let me see if I can read this on my glass. McDermott claimed that what she says about him is no bother. McDermott spent several minutes lambasting her and ending his tirade by calling Suggs a little pissant. McDermott Jr. is clearly a practicing hypocrite because while he has a problem with folks that don't live in Hammond taking him to task, he has no problem appearing on a weekly show at a Gary station. So anyways, he says he's being, Nosy says, like Trump, McDermott's kind of behavior is so juvenile. I'm sure you love hearing that.
I mean, if he says it doesn't bother him, why talk about somebody then?
Well, I mean, she's on the radio and saying some pretty negative things about him, and you got to believe that he's going to retort back.
Listen, he just can't handle criticism, and he can't handle the truth.
So, hey, I'm curious what you're thinking about Donald Trump. Are we at a tipping point, or is this just another crisis that'll eventually go away?
Another crisis that'll just go away. When they're going to learn that he won, get over with it. You know what's good for what he's doing is good for the country. How about you? You still play the stock market, ain't it?
Nope.
Nope.
Not at all. I'm an addict. I can't do it, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know that. You meet those guys, whatever they're not supposed to be doing, they can't stop once they start. I'm that guy. But I have been looking at it from the outside, and it's going up again today. But is that really the only measure of America as how the stock market is going?
No, Jim, come on. This mayor ain't going to take no crap. I mean, this president ain't going to take no crap from nobody, you know?
Yes, and I thought that would be a good thing. But what bothers me is that people of his own party are not providing the guidance and the guardrails to his erratic style of leadership. And that's going to cost this country.
Well, we got the same thing here in Lake County.
Yeah.
You got a guy like Dan Darnell in the Republican Party that's in bed with Repay.
Well, I guess what I was thinking as a parallel, if you think about it, is you've got all sorts of Democrats here locally that don't really police themselves. They don't. Think about it. I mean, if you had
You're exactly right.
If you had strong Democratic leadership that could get good, solid people into the positions of elected and appointed positions, and were able to police them, then we may not have many of the problems that we're having. And I think that's kind of what's going on the national level. You know that a bunch of Democrats are going to hate Trump. But what about the moderate, thoughtful Republicans? Where the hell are they? We don't hear from any of them.
You might hear from them election day.
Yeah, you know what? This could get ugly for Republicans coming up in November. Hey, there is a fire truck going northbound on Indianapolis Boulevard, right in front of the WJOB studios. All right, man. Hey, what do you think about this federal trial going on where they're going after the secretary and the deputy in Calumet Township? It's the jury's deliberating right now. Have you been following it?
Yes, a little bit.
What do you think?
Hey, if they did wrong, they did wrong.
All right, thanks a lot. Talk to you. Former Calumet, according to the Post, former Calumet Township trustee Mary Elgin's name was repeatedly brought up at the public corruption trial of two of her employees, but prosecutors asked jurors not to lose sight of what the case has been about for the past 2 weeks. Let's talk about that in a minute. Hey, let's take some phone calls. 219-845-1100. Let's talk to Tom on line 2. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to weigh in on a few things. As far as the market goes, I learned my lesson back in the market meltdown with my 401k when I lost pretty much almost half of it. Mine's all just guaranteed. I don't play the market anymore.
You know what? People ask me all the time, like, well, what do I do in the stock market? Hey, what about this stock? What about that stock? Or how about options or this and that? Really, the only way to do it is to just like make money and then plow money back into the market. And that's it. And if you think you're going to beat anybody on Wall Street, you're not going to. Even Wall Street doesn't beat Wall Street. I mean,
Correct.
it's just a crapshoot, and it always has been. There are parts of it where you get edges, like when I worked at the Board of Trade, that allowed me to eventually buy these radio stations. But ultimately, I just don't see any sanity in trying to beat the market. It just doesn't work.
Correct. With what I had, I was able to adjust my portfolio 4 times a year, and blah blah blah. And I was driving myself nuts. And I'm too close to retirement, so I'm happy making almost 4% right now, and it's all safe.
You did bring up one thing. How old are you, Tom?
I'm 58.
Yeah, the only thing that and I'm going back for my MBA now, and I'm going to go and I'm going to start really studying the math behind some of the investments. The one experience that I had is that there are formulas for how much you should have in bonds, how much you should have in alternative investments, how much you should have in the American stock market, how much you should have in the perhaps in the global stock markets or emerging markets. To me, if you just follow the formulas, because they've kind of been proven over time, that would be one way of investing over time. But to actually try to pick stocks or pick the stock market in general, I mean, how do people even believe that is going to work? You know what I mean?
Correct.
Anyway,
can I weigh in on one thing?
Sure.
Quick too, with the Trump deal.
Yeah.
Let me throw this out there for everybody who's going to think that I'm a left-wing liberal. I am not. I don't vote a straight ticket. I volunteered. I served, and unlike President Bonespur, I would not want my daughters around him. He is a ne'er-do-well grifter who made his own bed, and now all this dirty money is going to come out to haunt him, and it's going to be a house of cards. Although I do agree with some of the things he wants and is trying to do, it's just that, like I said, I would not want any of my daughters around him.
What you're saying as you're claiming to be an independent, correct?
More or less. I just don't vote a straight ticket. I try to do some research. I'm not a one-issue person, whether it be gun rights, abortion, yada, yada. And I just find it disgusting when I find out that some of these people that are so pro-life, but yet once the child is born, they don't want to do anything for their child. Or you get some of these politicians who it's okay to pay their girlfriend off and pay to have an abortion done, but they're so pro-life. It's ridiculous.
You do realize that you're about 1 in 10 people. Really, you are. I mean, in America right now, I mean, most of the people driving around will consider themselves one way or another. They'll say, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and it's about 40% Republican around and maybe 47% Democrat, maybe 1 or 2 Libertarian, whatever. And you got about 10% that are true independents. And that's my guess. There a lot of polls are saying it's less than that, but I say about 1 in 10 people walking around are true independents. You do realize that there's nowhere for you to go right now.
Correct. Yeah, unfortunately, and look at the situation we're in. Maybe that's why we are the way we are. And I hearken back to I bring this up with Ross Perot. Everybody called him a wackadoo when he said there's going to be a big sucking sound of all our jobs going moving on, and look what happened. Look what happened, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Talk to you.
Okay.
You know, we were talking about Jack Kemp just a little while ago. Jack Kemp I went to Occidental College for 2 years, if you guys know where that is. And that's in East LA. And Jack Kemp was kind of a big guy there. And as a matter of fact, you know, I went there as a freshman and a sophomore. And I took a lot of political classes early on and political theory and that. And if anything kind of shapes, you know, the way that I look at the world, it's, you know, outside of growing up around here and having a general lack of trust for our local politicians in general, because if you live around here, you've developed that, or you grew up around here. But I did go for 2 years there, and Jack Kemp was, I think they named the football field after him and stuff, but he was in Congress at the time. And they named the Jack Kemp Stadium. It's a little bitty football field. I didn't play football there. I was gonna, but I went out and just played baseball there. And you almost got taught Jack Kempisms on campus, and it was a lot of freshmen and sophomores who come to college are, oh my gosh, I'm going to change the world, and they're bleeding heart Democrats. But it really wasn't like that at Occidental, and that you were taught that Jack Kemp comes out of Occidental and he stands for just working out problems, and that he may have a slightly conservative bent, but really it was kind of almost like a liberal Republican in a weird way. What do they call him? When did he die? He died in, I don't know, like '08 or something, or '09. And I remember getting the paper, the liberal Republican is what they call him. Anyways, he died, and I got the paper, and I'm like, wow, liberal Republican, what exactly is that? And maybe it was that he was kind of open socially, and he was maybe a little bit more conservative fiscally, but it wasn't so much the politics. It was the methods. And you saw that in Paul Ryan, the guy who's leaving Congress. And that was, hey, we have a problem. Let's use all of our resources, even if it might make somebody on the Democratic side look good, to be part of the solution. Let's find the solution and let's move forward. Jack Kemp would not make it now. He'd probably lose his seat. And perhaps Paul Ryan, over time, his method of carrying on the tradition of Jack Kemp is losing too. And that's on the Republican side. I know that a lot of the criticism that is made these days is like, oh, you know, liberal Democrats this, or, you know, really conservative right-wing Republicans, they're the problem. To me, perhaps a group that deserves a large amount of criticism right now are thoughtful, moderate Republicans who are not standing up for what they think is right. They know what's right, and they should be voicing their opinion, but they're afraid that if they do, they'll get called liberal Republicans, and they'll get voted out of office by just a groundswell of really conservative people that sometimes even have a racist slant to them. So it's those folks, and there's a lot of them, that are the ones that you got to watch, man. And if they start turning and saying, hey, you know what, we want to voice our opinions, that's when America starts to heal. Forget about Democrats Democrats for a longest time were doing exactly what the Republicans were, which is pointing across the aisle and saying, you guys suck, you're the problem. And anyways, don't get me started. Just watching this tennis match is kind of getting exhausting at the national level. Let's take one more phone call. Let's see how Kenny's been. Kenny, how you been, man?
Oh, good, Jimmy. Talk about tennis court. I know what the heck, the other day I was going back and forth, CNN and Fox or CNN. What a joke. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done, you know. But that's not what I'm calling about.
Wait a second. I want to know why you say that. I'm done. Why do you say that?
Well, for one thing, I'm kind of like in the middle. I grew up Democrat. Everybody on the east side was Democrat. I don't know about everybody, but you know, I mean, everybody was working unions, and and you know, so we grew up that way. And then, well, then now it's like, you know, you hate to see career people that don't do nothing. And I mean, Jimmy, there's so much work out there right now that it's unbelievable. So if you ain't got a job right now, you don't want to work. So, but anyway, does that make any sense? Or
It does, but I think from when you're saying I'm done with it at the national level, what does that mean?
I don't know. I probably should, you know, my big mouth and said that, but you know, like you know, I was looking for the change, you know, on the elections and stuff a couple of years ago, whatever, with Trump and stuff, and you know, but God, he's just such a and I don't do this face. I was the one to Jimmy. I don't even put a damn computer on. I'm sorry, but I am so old school, and I don't need it, and I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't go Facebook. In fact, my one friend, a gal that cuts her hair, she goes, "You're on Facebook more than anybody I know that ain't on Facebook," because I'm not on Facebook. But I'm out and about, and I do things and this and that. But it's just too much information. I tell my girls all the time, don't put stuff on a damn computer that, you know, I mean, once it's on there, it's on there. So I don't believe in all that. You know, I'd rather be a little bit more private than, oh, yeah, we went to Giovanni's the other night, and the calamari was good, but the eggplant was, you know, who the heck cares who had what? But I don't know. It's just depressing watching everything is about Comey and Mueller and Stormy Daniels. I mean, my God. I mean, don't worry, Uncle Donnie. He's going to pay for this Stormy Daniels thing, okay? Because you know, I mean, that just goes back to the old my karma. You know, I'm a big karma guy, and I just think that, you know, it's just wrong what he did, and he's paying for it. You know. I don't think he's getting too much love in that night, Jimmy. I don't know.Maybe he's with Stormy again, but
you mean are you saying that he is paying for having an affair with a stripper while his wife is pregnant?
That, you know, in the real world, man, he absolutely right. He is, you know, or he's going to be paying, because that's how it works, man. It's real simple. You do bad. And you know you're doing bad comes back at you. Boy, does that take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, people? I mean, come on, you do bad comes back at you. Now let's go back to Saturday night. What my cousin Karen and Jack Callahan did at the Slugfest, which, by the way, I didn't see you. But now you talk about a good thing, man. I mean, we had 3,000 people there, Jim. I mean. And I want to give, before I go off or whatever, you know how I get. But the fighters I mean, it was just a great night, Jim. Oh my God, the Slugfest, 911 Slugfest, and anybody that gets in a ring, that's ever been, and you've been in a ring, I've been in a ring. It takes a special person to get in the ring, and these guys, they fought their butts off, Jim, and it was such a great night, and we raised so much money, and for these kids to come in there, and if you ain't got if you don't have a tear in your eye, man, when you see these little kids coming in with cancer and stuff, you know, you're pretty ruthless, you know.
You know, once again,
ramble, Jim.
No, let's talk about this. Slugfest was on Saturday night, and you are correct. I was unable to attend. Kenny, I was actually at another kind of a heartstring event, and I
heard that.
That was the American Heart Association had their big gala, and I had to make a choice. And this year I went over to the Heart Association black tie event at Avalon, and did my bit there. Sure. But it's kind of actually it was kind of bad scheduling. I wish they wouldn't put that on the same night, because I'm going to have to go. But Sam, Michael, and Jimmy Mullaney and Ryan Walsh all went over there representing WJOB, and I got and they said that it was just an amazing night. There were some pretty good fights, huh? Were you working the corner again or no?
Good fights, yeah. I was in the fireman corner, and they won. Fireman won 9-4, and that's what Jack. I mean, Jack even said, he goes, "Hey, fireman probably worked. He probably trained a little harder." And you know, Jack. I mean, I tell you, he's amazing. What an amazing. Oh. And now he's in my family, so I mean, he just what an incredible guy, you know. But
all right, man. We're gonna have to get the card on who won all the fights, Ryan. If you can get that, so we can say everybody's name throughout the.
Yeah, they deserve it, because I know, you know, when they walk in the ring, and I tell them, I says, listen, man, just relax and throw straight punches. You get some guys or buddies coming, left hooks and uppercuts and this. Just go in there, throw straight punches, keep your hands up, and a couple guys go, man, this is really, when I tell them to relax, how the heck are you gonna relax when you got 3,000 people screaming and you're over there gonna get your head blocked off and and I says, well, just try to relax a little bit, keep your hands up, throw punches, but
it's weird that you say that because one of the first breakdowns in discipline in the ring when it starts to go crazy is that all of a sudden your elbows are out. You know what I mean? It's like the first sign. It's like the elbows are out, and then instead of just throwing straight jabs and coming back with a straight right, you're coming from the outside. You're lowering your right to try to throw this big roundhouse, and that's when you get decked, man.
That's when you get decked. What did they say when we were kids? I can't really say it. I don't know how to say it. But the closest, it's like a math thing. The fastest point from A to B is straight or whatever the heck, however they say it.
I think you got your point across. Hey, Kenny, thanks for being so candid. I know you didn't necessarily want to talk about that national stuff, but you did.
Yeah,
and Jack and Karen Callahan, Slugfest, putting all those people into Hammond Civic Center. It was their dream from the beginning, and it continues every year.
Yes, it does. God bless everybody, man, and do the right thing, people. For crying out, can we move on here? And my gosh, let's just everybody get together. All
right, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
All right, bro.
See ya. All right, I got a couple texts here before we take a break. The fire truck is at Taco Bell just north of the studio. So what is that at? Maybe it's just to the south of 165th. Another one. So JED has no investments? No, that's not the case. It's just that I don't trade. And if you have been in that industry, there is a huge difference between trading and investing. I don't trade anymore, and I haven't. And if you guys listen to the show in the beginning, guys would call in at, Mad Mac. I worked on the floor with Mad Mac, Toll Road Tom. There's a whole bunch of other folks that may have used to call in the beginning, and they couldn't believe that I wasn't trading because for 18 years I did nothing but trade, and it had taken over my life. And I realized that there's something out there that I wish would get studied at some point. I mean, there's all sorts of addictions that people look at. Well, one of them is a trading addiction, and believe me, I had it, and I had to say no more. I just don't do it. Here's another one. Let JED know they make spill-proof mugs. Well, thank you. Tax day is tomorrow, April 17th. Check it out on irs.gov. Is that right? Is tomorrow the last day? I thought today I sent something out today that I thought was, or I sent something out on Saturday because I didn't want to. I figured I wouldn't. What is the last day to put your taxes in? Let's see. What is it? File. Let's see. April 17th is the deadline to file and pay taxes you owe. My fault. Thank you for texting that in. It's actually tomorrow. And, wow. I went 2 days early. That's crazy. I typically sending out a check on April the last day because it just hurts. And I went over and saw my buddy John Sanito there on 45th in Highland. He doesn't want any more business, to be honest with you. He's loaded as it is, and any more business would interfere with his ability to go. I should say he doesn't want any more business, but it would interfere with his ability to go to Canada fishing for weeks at a time. But he is just proven to be just a solid guy and a solid friend over the years. And I was over there, and I'm like, oh, I better send it today because I'll forget to mail it on Monday. So. Darn it. I really like doing it on the last day just to feel like you're not getting, it's one more moment that the state or federal government doesn't have your money. And if you postmark it and you send a check rather than doing it electronically, you actually even get a couple more days. How's that feel? All right, guys, I'll be right back here on the voice and face of the region, AM 1230, WJLB, and 104.7 FM.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by Committee to Elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
John Salzader, candidate for North Township Advisory Board. I am fully qualified, experienced, and will bring a new face and new vision to your township government. Elect John Salzader, Salzeider, on May 8th, Democrat.
Approved and paid for by the Committee to Elect John Salzider.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffith. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampooer, air freshener, and towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information.
What are you going to do when you grow up? Me, I'm going to talk on the radio, AM 1230, WJOB, and 104.7 FM. I'm Jim Diedlow, hanging out. Just kind of hanging out with you guys. I hang out with you also on my blog if you'd like to read it, jimdiedlow.com. And there's like 3 or 4 people who read it. I just try to, it's called My Radio Life, and I just kind of write about what's going on and kind of behind-the-scenes radio stuff. Partly because I feel as if what I do is going to kind of go away at some point, which is kind of the owner-operator of local radio stations. They're fewer and far between to find that. So I'm like, you know what? It's almost a historical perspective, and if it's not here in 20 or 50 years, at least I'll be able to read it, what it was like here in the Midwest. So you can check that out anytime, jimdiedlow.com. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan are lighter than normal. You do have a brake tap at the merge. Skyway and the toll road are moving. So is the Borman, I-65, and US 30 and Klein Avenue. Once again, perhaps the most treacherous gauntlet to drive is US 41 in Highland between Webb Ford and Meyer, the big bridge. My nephew Jack and I drove over that on Saturday. As by the way, the guys at Dunhill over here, the tuxedo people right next to Minor Dunn, did an amazing job. I went in there to get a new shirt and maybe a new tie. Was going to the American Heart Association black tie affair, and I went into Dunhill, and I wound up buying a black suit rather than kind of dressing up my old tux that I had bought years ago. And I didn't realize, I mean, there's a big sign outside of Dunhill that says tuxedos, and then they put a new sign up there that says suits. And I'm like, just getting ready to buy a new vest for $65 and a tie for $30 and a shirt for another $20 or so. So I was in over $100. And my nephew Jack goes, "Hey, Uncle Jim, look at that." And there was these suits. And I'm like, wow, how much are the suits? Well, they're like $150. I mean, they were cut down. You could see that they kept cutting it. I mean, I don't know if people don't know to go there to buy suits, but I wound up buying a black suit. And my wife's like, "Don't tell people how cheap that suit was." I'm like, well, it's a nice suit. I could tell by the material and stuff. I think they're just having trouble selling them because the price was way low, and I bought a black suit there. I don't know where I was going with that, other than the fact that Jack and I went in there, and guy waited on us right away, Alex. And then by the time we left, there were 35 people in there, all these prom people coming in. But we did go over afterwards to see Joe Samara at at Minor Dunn and talk with him for a while. They're doing great over there. Part of it is, Samara and I talk about this, that we were both faced with a monumental challenge, and that he bought Minor Dunn, and perhaps it had a long-standing brand, but perhaps it hadn't been rejuvenated and it didn't have the standing perhaps that it once did. So we kind of had to rejuvenate the brand. And a similar thing what we had to do here at WJOB. So sometimes we share little things like, challenges or kind of similar challenges. What do you do to an aging brand to turn it around and make it relevant in today's world? And he's certainly done that, mostly with just solid food and great service. It's still counter. Jack and I always go in at Minor Dunn here on the boulevard and just sit at the counter, and we eat, and then we split a piece of pie, and it's just a nice, wholesome, great meal, comfort food, if you will. And then just kind of, the waitress Carol in there. Remember Carol? She was the waitress when my daughters were little. We went in there all the time, even long before they were sponsors. We were big Minor Dunn fans. And then I remember after a while she got pregnant and had a baby, and now her kid's like 16 years old and at Highland. So there's just a lot of tradition there, and it's not altogether different than when people come up to me and say, "Oh gosh, I remember listening to WJOB in the 1940s or the 60s or the 80s. It's always been a part of my life." But what do you do with that to turn that into money-making possibilities? Well, Samara, he also owns Eduardo's over here. He started in the Lums franchise, if you remember that. Remember Lums on Calumet Avenue where Eduardo's is now? It was actually, I loved the food there. Anybody remember Lums? They had back when I ate meat, they had a steak that you could get that was a reasonable price. So it was like a big deal to go out to Lums. Like the parents took you out, and you had to be real respectful, and then you had to sit still while your mom smoked that second cigarette after dinner. It's like, come on, who needs coffee and cigarettes after a dinner? You don't get that as much anymore. Kids go out to dinner with the parents, and one of the most torturous things that I can remember out of childhood is you go out to dinner and you're sitting there, and then the mom would pull this purse out, and she would bring out the first cigarette. Well, that was cue for Dad to, hey, you know what, I'll have a drink. And then they would sit there, and my dad would have the drink, and my mom would smoke the cigarette. And all you want to do is like, hey, I ate already. Let's go. And nope, cigarette. I just ate a great meal. I'm going to smoke my cigarette right here at the table. You don't get that now. So I guess there's not that lingering, like whoever's the smoker in the family isn't like saying, all right, we're going to sit here till I'm done with this, and then we're going to go. Probably helps for turnover on the tables, too, if you think about it. Anyways, I've lost my train of thought. 294 around the city looks good. There's really no traffic right now, and that is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. We're talking about the weather a lot. It's a little dusting of snow out right now. It's actually kind of neat looking, as you have just a dust of snow on Indianapolis Boulevard and on the sidewalk outside of the Strachan Van Til Studios here at Purdue Northwest. And I mean, it's just kind of it gets into your soul how cold it is for so long. You're just looking for some nice warm days. I went and worked out yesterday afternoon, and it was packed. And I asked the woman, I'm like, why is it so packed? She said, you know what? We've been getting some big crowds on the weekend because it's so nasty, and people just want to do something. And she's right. If it had been nice, I would have rode my bike. didn't happen. Anyways, a high of 38 today. Cold flurries this morning, breezy. It's 20 to 30 mile an hour winds out of the west-northwest. It's 28 degrees here. We got light snow. It's a midwinter day. Don't misunderstand. If you're still laying in bed all warm in your cocoon, when you get up and you're looking at what to wear, like I looked at it today, I'm like, all right, what's the warmest sweater I have up there that's clean? And I put this big middle of winter sweater on, and it's really not entirely enough. And that's going to be kind of the story all week long. High in the low 40s tomorrow. You get some sun though tomorrow. High in the upper 40s on Wednesday, but you get some rain coming through then. And then Thursday and Friday, high in the 40s again with maybe some sunshine. So it's not warming up that much. It'd certainly be warmer than it is right now. The lows overnight are all in the low 30s, maybe even reaching into the upper 20s for the entire week. Weather brought to you by CertifiedElectrician.com. I want to talk a little bit about CertifiedElectrician.com, which is a combination of NECA, which is the electrical contractors, and Local 697. They got together and said, hey, how can we market ourselves and tell people that, hey, use a union electrician or union electrical contractor. And they're doing a great job of it. And they've been one of my sponsors for a while. Thanks a lot, especially to Cassie Ailing and to Ryan Riethel. They had me out. We're one of the minor sponsors of the American Heart Association thing on Saturday night, but Ryan Riethel was the head of it, and Ryan is over at Local 697. So 697 and all of the electrical contractors were heavily represented at the Heart Association. Construction Advancement Foundation was there, and a whole bunch of union people really came out for heart disease. And one of the most poignant moments was the story of Dan Waldrop. Dan is I don't know what his position was at 697. I want to say he was BA, and he told his story of his daughter who had a heart disease when she was little, and then he has been going through some stuff and is headed into a major surgery. So it was rather heartfelt, and I know a lot of electricians' eyes were kind of moist when they showed a video of Waldrop. And but anyways, I had to give it to Ryan Riethel. He comes up through the trades. He's an electrician, and he carried off the black tie event. So did Cassie of Certified Electrician, and they did a great job. And they got Alexis and I were out there and had a ball, sitting next to Diana Stoyich, who is always full of laughs. That is Mirko Marich's across the street here at Staff Source, his sister. She had his stitches the whole dinner. And that is a roundabout explanation of why I was not out at Slugfest at the Hammond Civic Center. That's a great event. And Jack and Karen Callahan are doing that to raise money to help kids with cancer and some other charitable events. So people doing a lot of good around the region over the weekend. Sometimes that gets lost in all the stuff that we got to talk about coming up here, but I just wanted to bring that up. All right, here we go. 219-845-1100. Let's talk to John on line 599. John, how you been?
I'm all right. How about yourself, Jed?
All right, what's up?
Hey, sounds like you had a busy weekend. That's good.
Like always, baby.
I got a question for you. There's two new developments that are going up in northwest Indiana, and I was wondering if you had anything to say about them. One is behind the old Stauffer Chemical, across the street from the East Chicago train station, and the other is a outlet mall that they're talking about building off of 231 and I-65. I was wondering if you had any comments or any information on those two projects. I'm going to hang up and listen.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, the one over here by Road and Polank, or the old Stauffer Chemical, gosh, I have covered that development a number of times, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. Somebody text me at 219-845-1100 or hit my phone, will you? That is, I will give you a little background on Stauffer Chemical. Geez, what is that? That is, you know what? It's a big development, and it's some sort of industrial commercial development right next to Stauffer. Now, Stauffer is across from the East Chicago train station. And when I worked here in the mid 80s, I had a number of details, but most of all, Colby, the former owner, he gave me the business stories. And I came in as a sports reporter, but, you know, let's be straight, like it's just not a lot of reporters back then wanted to cover business stories. You know, I had a grandpa that was teaching me, that's Lear seating, that's right, thank you. I knew that was what, yes, Jim Slagle's on his way in, and a couple of other people texted that. Thank you so much. Lear, which is on 165th over there, John. You know where Lear is between Columbia and the Boulevard. It's on the north side. It's a big, they're putting, I don't know if it's another facility or if they're moving over there, but that's Lear seating over there. Thank you. Look at this. Brian, look at the text line right now. There's like 7 texts. It says Lear. That's like an echo chamber. But thank you, guys. I appreciate for doing that. Lear seating. So, but the one at 231 and 65, they're talking about an outlet mall. So let's talk about that location. All right. You're going south on I-65, south of US 30, right? And you come up to 109th. First of all, you leave US 30, and there is just every kind of restaurant you can imagine, and every kind of retail outlet, and you know, you've got hotels there. You could do anything you want at US 30 and I-65. You could buy, you could go get a bedroom set. You could get a massage. You can get a pedicure. You can buy Indian food. You can get a pizza. So you go south, and then you come to 109th Street, which didn't used to be an exit, right? And then you look around, and they have this like industrial park off to the southwest. And if you get off at 109th and you go a little bit west, you run into at Broadway and 119th, or 109th. There's a number of there's the Tea Place and Strachan Van Til, and you get some stuff there. But right on I-65, there isn't that much at 109th. So you're like, why isn't it? So then you go further south, and then you get to 231 and I-65. Now, I know that corner well because, like, say if my dad and I were going to go to a Purdue basketball game, we'd meet my Uncle Ronnie Rex down there, and we'd park at 231. And for the longest time, we actually had to go into the one gas station at 231 and I-65, and that was in the southwest corner. Say, hey, you know, we're going to a Purdue game. We're just going to leave the car out back. You know, don't get freaked out by it. Yeah, okay, go ahead. There's nowhere else to go. And I've always wondered why there hasn't been more development at I-65 and 231. I mean, think about all the people that have moved down there and all this massive development in Crown Point and St. John and Dyer, unincorporated Lake County, Winfield. But right along the interstate, it's still fairly barren. So I don't know what outlet mall you're talking about, John, but I can tell you this, just from an intuitive looking at, they should put something there. And quite frankly, you would be able to nab a lot of people that don't want to get off at US 30 and I-65. It's just too busy. And if you've ever gone into, say, like Portillo's on US 30 and I-65 there, and since I'm the radio guy, I'm like, talk to everybody. It just annoys my wife and kids to no end, but you know, how do I get material to talk for the show? I just like, hey, what's up? We're, you know, the person bussing your table. Where you from? What are you doing? Oh, really? How is it going to Kankakee Valley? What do you want to do when you get out? And people think you're nosy, and sometimes people get rude or even want to punch you in the face. But for the most part, they'll talk to you. And invariably, when you talk to the help in a lot of these places, they come from like DeMott, even Rensselaer. You get people going to North Judson. And if you were to build at 231 and I-65, you could catch some of that before it had to drive all the way even further north to Maryville, Hobart. All right, sorry about that. I had a cup of tea that's just got me going, and I'm zipping around it. Let's talk to Dave from Gary. Dave from Gary, how are you?
Good. Just want to let you know, if you're going south on 394 and you're coming up to Glenwood Dyer Road, you're going to run into a pretty good snow squall.
Really?
Coming your way. Oh, yeah.
Well, like...
You know, it's funny that the way the jet stream is, you know, we're in record cold, and then you look in the south, Arizona, New Mexico, they're in record heat. Crazy how the jet stream, you know, you got the El Nino and the El Nino, you know, it's up and down. Crazy.
You know, the how that fits with global warming, I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you get people that are, you know, in regards to global warming, you know, everyone's a skeptic, but when they say, well, look at, you know, this is global warming, you know, the pro-conservative neocon, you know, it doesn't exist. Science exists, but, you know, that's the reason. I mean, part of it is that's why it's so cold here, because the jet stream's all jacked up because of global warming, and they have record heat down south. So anyway, that's my meteorologist tip of the day.
So what's up, man, in your world?
No, just it was almost kind of buried on Friday that President Trump is revisiting the TPP, man. That's a little odd, don't you think? Since I think we know a lot of people that voted for him just for that one reason alone, and he wants to revisit it. So it's kind of like what Daniels did to local 115 operator engineers. Promised him he's going to rebuild the bridge, and the last second pulled the rug out from underneath him. And you know, he got their vote and blindsided him. I'm wondering if that's going to happen the same here. That Trump's revisiting TPP. That the one thing that he really hammered, Hillary Clinton on for back in the TPP, and you know, that was to me that's one of the main contributing factors that that a lot of middle class white people voted for him. You know, for that fact.
Beats the Sam Hill out of me. I guess what that makes me think of when you're talking about that is that there's all this like weird stuff going on, and
yes,
I'm starting to really kind of cover it because I think it's going to affect our lives here locally. But at the same time, in the background, like there was the biggest tax cut for the rich in history, and the deficit is going up considerably because of that. Basically, we're cutting taxes on the rich, so that means that, you know, the deficit's just basically you're borrowing to give the richest of the rich a tax cut. Whether that'll mean more development or not remains to be seen. But that gets no coverage. That gets no coverage.
Well, I know. Well, yeah, you're not going to find that on the major corporate TV, you know, super conglomerate, because they're benefiting from it. So you think, I mean, you know, they're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, that's for sure. They're not. If they cover it, then it's going to expose them. And
well, I got a guy in here that's waiting to talk with us. That we're gonna probably hit that topic. Thanks a lot, Dave. Hey, I got Jim Slagle with the Carpenters up in just a minute on AM 1230 WJLB and 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region here in Hammond, Indiana.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these airways before talking about my family charity, its events, and the groups it supports. Now I've decided to run for your North Township Board. I am well qualified and ready to work for you. Elect John Salzader.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr., the Hammond Parks Department, and PepsiCo are proud to announce the 14th annual Cinco de Mayo celebration to be held on Saturday, May 5th at the Hammond Civic Center from 5 to 10 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for $15 each, which includes food and live entertainment. Cash bar will be available. Mexican cuisine provided by El Gran Taco Mexican Grill, and the entertainment provided by Mariachi All-Stars, Ballet Folklorico, Fiesta Mexicana, and the band Together. For tickets, visit the Hammond Civic Center Monday through Friday or call 853-6378. For more information, visit gohammond.com.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Knock, knock, who's there? AM 1230, WJOB on 104.7 FM. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. Also doing these little segments called JED in America, too, and I'll do those whenever I kind of feel like it. But, hey, this is our morning radio show. You've been listening here for generations, and we very much appreciate it. One of the things that's allowed us to kind of come into the new age is sponsorship by people like Strack and Van Til Studios. Alexis and I spent some good quality time with Sean and Jeff Strack at the American Heart Association on Saturday night, as the Strack family and the Van Til family were there, and they continue to give back to the community. And I want you guys to remember that when you're thinking about where you're going to go and where you're going to buy your groceries. This is two families that employ thousands of people here in the Calumet region, and they provide a good product. And sometimes you just kind of get lazy, and you're like, just go in here, I'll just go in there. And you got to pick something up at a place once in a while. I get it, but when you're going for the haul, or you got a choice and say, all right, maybe, I'm gonna make sure I go over there. Yeah, it's just in the back of your head that these are homegrown local people, and the money that they make gets plowed back into the community. It doesn't happen at these chains. Just remember that. Anyways, 6:57 here in the Calumet region at the Strack and Van Til Studios. It is 28 degrees, going up to a high of 38. Some flurries this morning, and could get. Dave from Gary says it's a big snow squall just to the southwest of where we're at, but right now we just get a slight dusting that just kind of appears and goes away. Personally, if it's going to be this cold and it's going to snow, I hope it at least put some snow on the ground. That way I can go JED golfing. A high of 38 today. And the rest of the week it's a high in the low to upper 40s. And Wednesday is your rain day. Weather brought to you by Carpenter's Local 599, which sponsors the phones here. And also, let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city is a little bit tight as you approach the Stevenson. Allow extra time up to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks good. Division 4 is starting to get a little clumpy from 115th through the merge. Dan Ryan itself is actually is moving along well. So is the Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, US 30, and Klein Avenue all moving along pretty well. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Markets overnight, bouncing back. They had a little spankety-wank crankshank on Friday with the possible bombing, impending bombing of Syria. That happened, and it's being digested well by the markets as the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up about 140 points going into today's trading. Jim Slagle is here. He just stops by on his way to work sometimes. He's with Carpenter's Local 599. How you doing, Slagle?
Pretty good. So how did the Heart Association Gala go?
Oh, it was amazing. It was, as you well know, Ryan Riethel. He was part of running that event. Will Glaros ran it, and a buddy of mine, an insurance guy, does a show here. And, he asked me to get involved. I'm like, well, I know what this one's about. First thing is, it's a great cause, and people that have had heart surgeries. A girl sitting next to me had a heart surgery,
Yeah, we've been a part of that for
years.
years.
Yeah, you guys have been a part of it. You know, carpenters have always been a part of it, but it's a lot of work, man. That gala is a lot of work.
Yeah, I spent most of last week making those cityscapes. Putting those cityscapes
Oh,
together.
yes, that's right. You guys helped with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had it was a superhero theme. Carpenters, I think electricians. I don't know what I didn't pay that much attention to what the other unions were, but I know that I saw a lot of union leaders from other ones there. And our ironworkers, Ronnie Ware, was out there. It was a great event, and they raised a ton of money, but Rethel was not, you know what I mean? That takes over your life. When you're running something that big and raising that many hundreds of thousands of dollars in one night, you got to be on your game.
Yeah, I seen him a couple times last week because the electricians put the lights in those, and we were putting them together. And yeah, he was pretty frazzled. Plus, he was out of town right till Saturday morning, so you know he had something to do for work out of town. So I'm sure he was a little bound up.
He didn't show it. He gave a nice. He did. I'm gonna call him out, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but he got a little bit teary-eyed when he. I want to thank my wife for helping me out here, and it is his wife, right, or girlfriend? Yeah, wife. His wife, and he got a little teary-eyed, and then the next guy came up and he says, "Well, hey, that's kind of cool to see a man." Show some emotion, but it's been an emotional week for him, and a lot of people don't know that the head of one of the heads of Local 697 is a cancer survivor. So when you start talking about these things and people's stories of surviving debilitating illnesses, it kind of gets your heart.
Yeah, I've known Ryan for years, back when we were both in the field still. Yeah, and he's a great guy. He really is.
It's weird that when you take guys out of the field, and after a while, like you or Rethel, or you go around to all of the unions, how guys are able to make that jump, or that you think, well, guy's been working in the field for 20 years, then he gets elected to a union position, or he gets appointed to it. That's a big change.
Oh, it's substantial change.
I mean, you gotta you know how to form up anything, or to put a scaffold together, get ready for concrete pours, all that stuff. But now you've got to learn an entirely new set of skills, and
you got to
it's not easy.
Yeah, and so a lot of times you don't see the end game. So a lot of the stuff we do on this side. We can work on it for years and not know we made a difference. When you're out there in the field and you're building something, it's built, it's completed, right? You know when the job is done. This job's never done. This job is never done.
Hey, Ryan, can you give me a list of the sponsors, the main sponsors of that? I know Beamster Bohr was one of them, Strachan Van Til's, ArcelorMittal were big sponsors, and I better get them all out there because there's people listening. Hey, what about us? Yeah. But I guess the whole idea behind that is that it was a huge building trades thing. Like Building Trades Council had something to do with it. CAF, Construction Advancement Foundation, ironworkers, electricians, carpenters, and the motivation behind that is that you wanted, that labor unions, especially trade labor unions, do give back to the community in huge ways. I see it all the time. I mean, even like sponsoring WJOB, I mean, these guys want to get coverage of what they're doing and act more like a commercial entity and advertising themselves, and I get that. But there's also a lot of charity work that's done that is really kind of goes unnoticed sometimes.
Yeah, and
maybe that's by design. You don't want to be standing out there and say, hey, look what we're doing. Look how great we're giving money here. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that.
You also have to get the recognition because, for too many years, the general public's only heard the negative. So if they don't see the positive, you're not battling the negative. And every organization has bad things about it, right? And labor unions are no different. In the past, there's been some things that have gone on. But how do you counteract that? Well, you got to get the good out there. The fact that we do that. The fact that, we probably have hundreds of people that belong to our council that probably coach Little League soccer, something, right? That's all. That's what we got to get out there, that we are just the normal people out there, and we do give back, and we can organize the people to do a project like that. Like we do a lot of work over at the Tri-Town Safety Village. We build buildings for them over there, and we have the labor pool to be able to organize enough people to get out there and get the job done for them.
You know, one of the ones was when over here at Optimist, we were going to do the games and video, and it was great. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people watched the streaming video of that, and we couldn't get a good angle, and you guys lined up somebody to come out at the last minute and just build it.
Yeah,
didn't charge us. That was tough build too, man. That was tough.
Not for those guys. That's what they do all the time.
Really? I mean, they're like, they asked me, like, well, where do you think this should go, and where should the supports go? And I'm like, man, that's a tough build. It's right over the dugout. I don't know where they're going to get supports. Zip, it was up the next day. Like, somebody came out and said, all right, boom, 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 put it up. Let's go.
That was one of my favorite ones because all I had to do was make a phone call.
Hey, he's Jim Slagle with the Carpenters Union. Jim, you guys, you know, it's very hard to drive down I-65 now without noticing one major addition to the corridor there between 73rd and US 30 on the east side.
73rd and 61st.
73rd and 61st, yes, that's right. So it is actually to the north of 73rd. So you guys built this massive training facility. People are like, what is that? Just a bunch of offices? I mean, that's where you're going to move is the training, sir?
They have started holding classes there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, they did?
They started holding classes there, yeah. Yep, and tomorrow happens to be our apprenticeship open house. We have an open house every year that we invite all the high school kids to, you know, juniors and seniors or anybody in building trades. Last year, I think we ran through about 600 students through our training center when it was in Hobart. So this one, we're hoping for a really good turnout, being as it's the new building, and, you know, people, that brings up another level of excitement, right? But it's a first class facility over there. It's something to behold. You're invited to come out and take a walk through sometime.
What time is that?
That tomorrow is from 7 to like 2:30. We have an apprentice competition. We came out last year, remember, during the apprentice competition, and did some interviews. We have the same thing. There'll be some guys doing some metal stuff or concrete work, and there'll be millwrights doing some millwright work. We can go over what millwrights do.
You know, the number one thing that you notice when you're driving down there is that it says floor coverers, carpenters, and millwrights. And we'll get into what millwrights do in a second. But I do remember coming out there. And the thing that I think one of the things that trade unions are doing right these days is I come out for the thing that I don't know if that's building trades or CAF that holds the big thing at the fairgrounds for all the kids, all the different unions, and they bring in hundreds of kids from all over the region, and they go and they look at what unions do in the different unions. And then, oh yeah, I remember coming out there, and the one kid was from Hobart or Griffith. He pulled out that drill and went, and put all those things into the wall, screwed all those screws in. And I'm like, dude, you could go out on a job right now. And I think he was 15 years old. You just had that feel when a guy could put that belt on and he could get the job done. I do remember that.
Yeah,
now.
And it's a great experience for them too. They can see the school and they can make their decisions on what kind of trade they want to get into. You know.
So that is right there along I-65 between 73rd and 61st. Mm-hmm. You got to get off at either one of those and just go east and take Mississippi, and you'll run right into it.
Yeah, if you're looking for an address, our address doesn't come up yet. It hasn't been put into the GPS yet. So if you used 7000 Mississippi, that would get you right to the entrance of our facilities there, the main road off of Mississippi.
What's a millwright do?
Well, a millwright, he sets precision equipment. He sets conveyor systems, anything that has to be set with high precision, high degree of accuracy. Some of this equipment in the mill, if it's off by a couple 10,000ths of an inch, you could wear that thing out in a week. And you're talking $1 million pieces of equipment. So that's what they do mostly. They work in turbines in the power generating industry. So they would be. That's basically what they do.
They're part of that building. Okay, they're their own union, or they
have their own local.
They have their own local.
The millwrights local's 1076, and it's actually a 2-state local. Their local is Indiana and Kentucky, and they use all the training centers, the same training centers that the carpenters do. So the guys that live in this area will train at our new training center. Guys that live around Indianapolis train in the Greenwood Center, and so on and so on. But yeah, they'll use that. They have their own classroom. We have welding booths set up for them. They do a lot of welding, then they'll have a competition there tomorrow.
They're going to be doing welding there?
Oh, we do welding there.
No, I mean during the open house. I was going to say, yeah. I went out and I went over to the ironworkers thing. What is that? Lake Station, and they were doing some welding, and I had to put the headgear on and all that stuff. I mean, that's a different level of safety concern when you're doing welding out there.
So that old building, that the ironworkers have, that's where I went to apprenticeship school. Back in the day,
that was when it was more than the ironworkers. I remember that too. Back in the day, I'm like, God, I've been here before, and I don't know what I learned there. I want to say it was, I can't remember what it was. It might have been a laser. Learned how to run a laser there at that.
Maybe you did.
Yeah,
they trained just like.
But it was a lot of different unions that. Yeah. Hey, you need to go out, and there was all. But now it's just ironworkers.
Now it's just ironworkers. So that's how much we've grown in our training. When I got in almost 30 years ago, all of our training was held in that building along with the ironworkers. We had one classroom or two classrooms, and broke up the shops. Then we built that facility in Hobart, which is no small facility. And we've had to build this new one because of the amount of training we do there. We just outgrew that training facility. We needed the space and the things we wanted to train to build this new building. Plus, it's a much better profile out there on 65. Everyone knows we're there now.
Well, we're talking to Jim Slagle of Local 599, and it's kind of a weird time because a lot of guys that come up through the trades in construction, and people know, everybody listening knows somebody who's in one of the trades, ironworkers, carpenters, millwrights, laborers, where I came up. The old way was that you just get out and you do your job, and everybody knows it's going to be a union job, and that's partly because the union does train people and brings solid people to the job. It's much more competitive these days, and for the carpenters and the millwrights, and then right down around the corner, the electricians, to even think in terms of, we got to think in terms of visibility here along I-65. That's a change in and of itself.
Sure.
I mean, you got to realize that it's a competitive world, and I'm glad that a lot of the union trades are doing that, kind of taking the lead amongst unions around here. Honestly, there's some other unions that just aren't making that effort right now. And I don't mean to be critical of them, but I only put that out there as it is important almost to act like, you know that your profile in the community is important.
I think we've done a pretty good job of it.
You guys have, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, years ago, you just stayed in the background, but now we got to get out in the forefront. We got to let everybody know. We got to get there early. If we want a job to go to our union contractors that employ our people, we got to try to get to these end users as early as possible. And when they come through here, and maybe they're looking for a site, and they see this big union carpenter building over there, well, maybe that'll help them say, well, wow, these guys are here. Maybe I'll give them a call.
And it's that simple sometimes.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. But
there
sometimes it is.
Slagle's still got that club in his bag. By the way, it's snowing right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios, and I do want to talk about that Heart of Gold Gala. It's a big deal. This is about as big as it gets around here. I sat and talked to Violet Sistaveros of NIPSCO and Evelyn Morrison of Methodist Hospitals, and I mean, you had all sorts of pretty big names that had come out to this thing, and one of the bigger sponsors was Strachan Van Til, Cherville BMW, ArcelorMittal, Town and Country, Centir Bank, Franciscan Health, Porter Regional Hospital, Methodist Hospitals. At times is a big sponsor, and of course the many unions, including Local 697 and NECA. Actually, this is last year's sponsored list. There's a number of unions that were on there that I wanted to get all their names out, because you know how it is. If you mention one union and the other one was right part of it, there's going to be hell to pay. I will get the full union sponsorship list by tomorrow. Okay, guys? Sorry about that. All right, Slagle, anything else? Yeah, wait, no, who could come to this open house tomorrow?
Well, generally it's for the schools more than anything else, but we also invite all the politicians to come out, any end users. You know, we probably send out 1,000 invitations to people. We want people to come and look and see what we're doing, see why you should go ahead and spend that little bit of money for the union trades, because of the quality and the craftsmanship and the people that you're getting out there. And this is what we're doing. You know, we're building futures here. We're not just taking that money and taking it across state lines or taking it back down to Texas. We're building futures, and we're building our economy and our community.
Well, maybe one day we'll be able to talk openly what's happening at a refinery along the lake, huh?
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, not today, because there's a struggle extraordinaire going on.
I will tell you this about that, though. Our people that are out there right now are being professional and doing their job, and we're getting back some of the work that was being taken away because of our professionalism and our ability to do high-quality work and get it done quicker, faster, and better.
Well, then, since we are able to kind of talk on it on the periphery, there's a battle extraordinaire going on out at BP. And one of the things that's happening is basically the local carpenters unions have had to fight for that work and have had to basically prove that it's better value. And I've always said that you bring in more safety concerned people and people with a long history of training and so forth, and it becomes a competition. And I've heard the same thing. I have heard that the union carpenters are winning a lot of those competitions, and I'm glad.
And I'm so proud of our guys out there every day. Every time I see them, I thank them for doing that hard work. You know, people say, what are we going to do? And I tell them, you're our best defense. You guys out there doing your job every day, doing it right, and be having good attitudes. That's how we're going to win. And thank God for those guys doing it.
He's Jim Slagle of the Carpenters Union. Perhaps at another venue, I'll be able to give you my personal opinion about the non-union infiltration. That is, but that's another story for another time.
That's off the record.
That's off the record. No, I could talk about it, but I'm not going to make you sit here and listen to that. But I will talk about it because, well, anyways, we'll just leave it at that. All right, thanks a lot, Jim.
All right, Jim, thanks.
Hey, Billy Baker's in the house. He's up next. A cold one in the region on a Monday. If you're in bed laying on listening on your phone on the TuneIn app, or you're watching me on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, stay right where you are because it's starting to snow.
My name is Ernie Dillon.
My name is Joe.
My name is Bill Emerson Sr.
We are veterans supporting our fellow veteran, Rich Novak, for North Township Board.
Rich is experienced, dedicated, hardworking, and professional.
Remember, vote on Tuesday, May 8th.
Approved and paid for by the Committee to Elect the Vet, Richard J. Novak.
Save the date, April 19th, for the 2018 Fair Housing Act's 50th Anniversary Celebration and Awards Reception being held at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster from 3 to 8 p.m. At 3 p.m., there will be a continuing education class. From 5 to 6:30 p.m., enjoy a cocktail reception, and 6:30 to 8 p.m., program and awards. Tickets in advance are $35 or $45 at the door. A portion will go to NWIRA programs. That's April 19th from 3 to 8 p.m., hosted by Lake County Housing Task Force and Bankers Community Council of NWIRA.
Elections matter, qualifications matter, integrity and honesty matters, and most of all, experience matters. The Honorable Lorenzo Arredondo possesses all of these qualities. Make a wise decision. Vote for Arredondo for clerk on May 8th. Arredondo for clerk. Honest, trustworthy, dependable, and experienced. And there's no substitute for experience.
My name is Lorenzo Arredondo, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the committee to elect Arredondo for clerk.
Ogren Insurance has been serving the area since 1947 and provides insurance for life, home, auto, business, and more. If you're looking for one-on-one service, the best rates, knowledge, and experience, Ogren Insurance is your agency. Our number one goal is to provide you with the coverage you need at the most competitive price. To learn about the insurance solutions and services we offer in Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or see our website
website, ogreninsurance.com. Ogren Insurance, 6929 Holman Avenue in Hammond. Accidents happen. Be protected with Ogren Insurance.
You know, I enjoy watching basketball at home, but I think we should go over to Johnny's Tap in Munster for drinks and fun.
Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Speaking of fun, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
Mr. Who and Mrs. Who?
Mr. and Mrs. Fun, but they're at Johnny's Tap.
Okay, I'll see you there at the corner of Broadmoor and Calumet Avenue. Yeah, I like going to Johnny's Tap.
Johnny's Tap. New ownership, now smoke-free, and still the home of Mr. and Mrs. Fun.
A real neighborhood type of place.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 721 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Tiedlow, host of JED in the region. Traffic around the city. You can expect it to start getting a little bit ugly, is my guess, because it is snowing like crazy out here. If you want to see it, Christina, can you switch around to get a camera that is showing the snow coming in? It is coming down pretty good right behind us here in the Strachan Van Til Studios. And it's pretty out, but it's not going to help the roadway. It's 294 already with some snow squalls out to the west of the city. Bad going in and out of the Stevenson and approaching O'Hare. Allow extra time if you're going to the airport. Ryan, can you check delays at O'Hare on any of the snow? 80 going east and west looks pretty good. Bishop Ford, a little bit tight, 120th on up through the southern end of the Dan Ryan. Allow extra time through that area, both in the merge and once you hit Dan Ryan. Skyway and the toll road look pretty good, though, and so does the Borman right now on I-65 US 30. It's been a little bit heavier snow to the west of the city and in the city than it has been here, but it looks like it's finally getting here. Weather brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. And what you have in terms of the weather is that it's snowing all the way up. Good chance of it off and on through the noon hour. And could have some accumulation. Tonight it gets down to 29 degrees again. Tomorrow high in the low 40s, partly sunny. By Wednesday you get a high in the upper 40s, but it rains. And then Thursday and Friday high in the mid to upper 40s and some more sunshine. Thanks a lot to the laborers. Let's see. Most delays are 15 minutes and under at O'Hare right now. Billy Baker.
Jimmy Diedlow. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. Hey, let's play 2, huh?
What is this, man? Look at this. We're doing a radio show on April 16th, one day before tax day. And it's snowing like crazy behind us. So pick up your phone and go to Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and type in WJOB, and you can see it. Christina, take the mobile camera and go and take a shot down Indianapolis Boulevard. These people are driving slowly, too, because you got to think about it. Baker, if 1 or 2 inches hits, how many Indiana State trucks are ready to go? Or Hammond or Highland or Griffith. I mean, if this continues,
right,
I can't see that they're all that prepped for this. Right?
How about everybody who put their snow shovels away and empty the gas out of the snow blower? It's your fault.
Yes, exactly. I'm not putting gas in that thing. It took me forever to get that gas
it's all
out
ready
of it.
to go. It's all put away.
It's all put away. It's folded up. I bought a lawnmower the other day.
No way.
Lawn boy for the station over there, and they buy it. You can buy them now that. And one of the things is storage of a lawnmower. They take a lawnmower, and you can fold it up into, like, the size of a suitcase now. I didn't know that. Well,
because you never cut the grass.
I don't get. Well, there you go. But there's the same thing with the snowblower. I was in there looking at them. Like, man, should I buy a snowblower? And one of them is like, I don't like that big handle and everything sitting in my garage all summer long, and you're moving it. Oh, here, I need that space over. I got to put something in there. Oh, kids brought something back from college.
Hey, this chair is good. We're going to use it later. Put it over there.
Yeah. Hey, Baker, you haven't had this yet. Is that fine? The kids go away to college. Baker's got kids at college. Hi, Christina. How are you? And they go away.
What? You made her go stand out in the snow. What the heck?
Yeah, I wanted a shot. I wanted for Instagram.
So the mobile camera is what, the iPhone?
Yeah, no, it's a camera. That's a camera.
Yeah, okay.
You don't realize it. That's actually going on Facebook Live. They're not watching us right now. They're seeing that. But your kids go away and they take a whole bunch of stuff with them, and it's great. They've taken chairs you didn't want. They've taken little dressers, beds, all that stuff, and they go away, and then they graduate, and then all that crap comes back. It's you feel like overwhelmed. I mean, it just took, my kids are both graduated finally.
Congratulations.
All of them are done, but they came
That's a
back
big thing.
each with like a whole U-Haul van of crap that had to come into the house, and I've just now filtered it out. Hey, where'd that dresser go? Well, I don't know. I wait, make sure I put it out right before the garbage.
What
men are
happens when
coming.
they get their next place, and then you have to go buy new dressers?
Well, I mean, I guess
What do you think?
they're
Were they all moving
away.
in a home in with you? That's not. You
One
might
of them
want
lives,
that.
One of
but-
them lives in an apartment smaller than this studio
Yeah.
in New York City.
Right.
So she ordered it for a bed from IKEA and a desk from IKEA, and that's all she had room for. So, and then the other one, she hasn't gone anywhere. But I'm telling you, all that crap coming, it just bugged the hell out of me. Because what do you think, they're going to go through their own stuff? No, I had to go through all of it. All right, this looks like junk. Where's my boots? Where's my boots? They were in there somewhere.
It must have taken a long time to get you that aggravated.
Oh, it was. Well, I bring that up
At some
because I
point
had to
you-
move my lawnmower around in the garage.
Why don't you move all that workout equipment that you don't use?
You know what? I finally got rid of that.
I'm lifting weights. I got a bench press.
I did it hillbilly style. So one of the car spots, I got a 2-car garage, was filled with my universal weights and my bench and in my
the bars and the clip things.
Yes, exactly, the bars and the clips, and then it had the CD player, so I could put in some old Zeppelin tapes while I'm.
Why don't you get rid of that stuff? I'm going to start working out. Don't worry about it.
Eventually, as soon as it gets warm, put a little gas heater in there. Remember, Preacher would talk about hanging out in the garage?
Exactly.
You know what? I want to go out and clean my garage on a Saturday where you open the garage and it's 58 degrees and you're listening to the Cubs game or the Sox game. And, do that.
Or you have your music from on your cassette deck, your best of tape. Crank up the Morants.
Allman Brothers. Got to hear Freebird.
See, because you live on a cul-de-sac, that's not the same. You have to have the garage where you open up and when the traffic is going by, and you have to have that whole,
I don't know how you deal with that, man.
And then everybody stops and you talk and you have that whole thing. Hey, do you know my friends on the radio?
Oh, Billy, I heard you on Monday. That was so funny. I don't know how
it
you
was
deal
funny
with
that
that.
you're like going, I don't know, but it was funny.
I don't know how you deal with it because when I do that twice, probably in the spring, maybe once in the fall, where I'm going to clean, I'm going to bring up, pick everything out and bring it in the garage, sweep everything.
Do you move everything out into the garage? Out
in the driveway. Yes, I'm one of those guys. But it's a solitary experience. I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
I don't want people stopping by, driving by. Are you kidding? I did that when I lived on Fisher and White Oak, man.
Well, that's a whole day event then. Everybody, hey, let's have a beer. We'll sit here, listen to the game a little bit. What's going on?
One of the things Billy
help me
really
carry this stuff back.
one of the things Billy really likes is when people listen to him talk. So if he's doing his garage and that's what it takes.
Hey, well, I got an opinion. Just ask me.
Yeah, but the point is that I've literally got up and said, all right, I'm going to do some of the garage today. And then you walk outside and it's 38 degrees and the wind's going sideways. It's just not nearly the same experience as when it's 65 and sunny out and you're like whistling a tune because it's so
That's
nice. Instead, you got to keep the door closed. It's so cold. I ain't cleaning this, man. It's all piling
go
up.
lay on the
man.
couch and watch golf.
I'm gonna do something else. I know what I'll do. I'll go up and fold my T-shirts again. I've only got like 33 of them.
32 of them are from 1980.
Oh, in a heartbeat. I have 3 T-shirts from the 70s. I have a.
Are they still in the
a
rotation?
Rolling Stone. No, not really.
Can't get in them?
But I can't take them out.
Oh, no.
I'm
throw
not
them
gonna
away?
throw them away.
Absolutely.
I got a
not.
Rolling Stones one. I've got a Grateful Dead one. And I forget what the other one was. I've noticed that. I go,
None of the basketball stuff or any of your sports stuff? Or is that all still in the trunk of the car with your Letterman's
Chris
jacket?
Fissinger, for some reason, when I was in high school and played on the Munster basketball team, he stole my practice jersey at the end of the season. He came over at the house, and I never could find it. You know, they had these nice tank top practice jerseys.
Reversible.
All right, you're
That
on the
was
white team.
way
You're on the red.
cool, yeah.
So, a couple years ago, he brought it back over to the
Did
house.
he wrap it up and put it in a...
He's like, "Hey, man, I feel bad. I stole your jersey a long time ago, you know, and like I want to return it." I'm like, "Okay, thanks a lot." So I go in the bathroom and I put that thing on. It's like it's like a sausage, man. So
Hey,
no,
wait, that stuff at the bottom coming out at the bottom. Well, that wasn't there before.
so no, I'm not wearing any of the
Put
old
that on
Monster High
and
stuff.
your 80s shorts, you know, and your tube socks that came up to your knee.
Jack Yerkes was coach there for a while, and one day he's like, "Hey man, you know, I got some of these old tapes. If you play and you want them,
absolutely."
And I look at him and I'm like, "You know, Jack, is that when we were like wearing those real tight shorts that came up?" I go, "Cause yeah." I go, "I don't want that.
Really, you didn't take?
I don't want anybody. I don't want to see that.
I mean, you got all this stuff you bought. I mean, digitize it. I mean, hello.
I agree. It was a mistake.
Yeah, well, call him up. I'm sure Mr. Yerkes' coach is listening. Get him.
He
get
said,
him to
"Hey, there's
D-Lo."
He goes, there's a game in there where you missed 9 shots in a row and kept shooting." Well, what else do you expect?
Exactly. Well, I expect the coach to take him out.
Yeah. Can't do that. Hey,
You know who I am?
He's Bill Baker, and he's just here because I asked him. It's 7:32 on a Monday morning. If you guys got something on your mind, give us a call at 219-845-1100. Hey, Baker, this guy called in today, and he's like, "Is there an outlet mall going on at 231 and 65 that you know about?"
Proposed, yeah. I listened to that segment. There's a lot of things. You were funny. Your response was, you know, whatever, some word that you came up with this morning, and you said, they need to build something there. I'm like, okay.
Don't you think it's developed area with all that traffic?
Well, Franciscan built a hospital, you know, out there.
Yeah,
There's
they
a hospital, so there has been more than 1 or 2 developments that have gone through. I mean, doing those big types of developments, it's a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot of work before a shovel gets in the ground and, you know, people will actually get a job for that. I mean, between entitlement and phase 1 and doing soil borings and a lot of the boring things that have to be done, pun intended.
Get on the microphone. You keep sitting
You know
back.
what? I got a thing. I mean,
I know, but you move back. Pull your chair up.
Hey, you know what? Are you telling me what to do again?
It's my studio, man. I can do what I want.
Really? Well, no. How's that?
All right. Well, then they can't hear you. Then I got to keep adjusting your microphone here, and I'm lazy, and I'm half retired.
Nice sweater.
You realize that Baker's like, "Oh, nice look." It looks good from the waist up, and I realize over time I used to wear nice shoes and everything. Then I realize I go, that never makes it on the camera. Why am I wearing whole Hans shoes here and wearing them down? Just wear your hiking boots, and you'll be fine. No one's ever going to see them, and that's all they see. You could be
I'm
wearing
looking at
shorts
what they
on-
see, and you could work on that.
What are you talking about? It's a nice button down and a sweater and a headband.
Mm-hmm. And your lunch or breakfast?
Breakfast, yeah. You want something?
At least you moved I was telling Ryan, at least you moved the baby wipe container from over here by the, thing over here. So it's outside of the camera, because I watched a few things. I'm like going, really, with the baby wipes?
You can do just about anything with baby wipes. Did I tell you a story?
Baby wipes are a good thing.
I drove.
I heard you're into flushables these days.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it could be funny in another venue. My wife and I were going to Porter Regional. By the way, great suggestion.
About what?
On dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Alexis and I spent Friday evening. Her well wishes out to Leo Vasquez, Alexis's brother, who just had heart surgery at Porter Regional Hospital. And we were going out to see him, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with this car and so forth. And I blogged about this. So I said, I'll just ride my bike out to you, Alexis. And it took forever. It was the wind was in my face the whole way. But I get to Walgreens at Burr and 30, and I'm all sweaty. and I go into change at Walgreens to go to the thing, and they have this whole wall of toiletries, and I pick up baby wipes, and I wipe my whole body down with baby wipes, and I'm like, God, I'm cleaner now than when I take a shower.
smell like calic.
Yeah, I smell. I don't know. Yeah, there's a slight different, like almost an alcohol, isopropyl alcohol smell to it.
Oh, really?
Anyways, back to development. At I-65 and 231. I mean, it's an outlet mall, right? And that's a perfect fit for that. You get in and out real easily. There's a lot of traffic, visible. All of the factors are there, and there's plenty of land.
It'll put a lot of pressure on South Lake. I mean, you've been watching all the things that have been closing, and ever since they were paving down Woodmark Country Club, I've been of the opinion and stated on the radio that retail helps, and it's an 18-month construction work cycle, but it isn't really an economic development deal. So, I mean, it'll be helpful from a tax perspective and get that done, but it'll put a lot of pressure on the established retail at 30 and 65, in my opinion. But that's the model for those outlet malls, and people like that. I mean, I think they're less inclined to want to go to a Nordstrom's and Saks or those type of thing where everybody's, playing harp music and it's all real nice. They just want to go and get a good deal on some stuff and move on because you're competing against having people bring it to your door. It's a different environment, but people still like to get out and go shopping.
What do you get delivered to your door? Golf stuff,
some golf stuff, yeah, but not very much.
Mine, I don't either. Most of my stuff is electronic.
Yeah,
stuff you can't find, cords or little. I'm a little gizmo guy, and I get all this stuff.
But I won't go to like Macy's or anything anymore and try stuff on. If I'm over there for some other reason, I might go. But for the most part, I pretty much am consistent in the sizes, and I'll try if I, my once a quarter or whatever to get some new shirts or something. I don't like getting rid of my favorite shirts, just like you with those T-shirts. Even good shirts, man, I go, this is nice.
The button
After
downs.
a while, they just wear ass out. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, but you don't want to throw them out because you just had so many good times in them.
And it's just a nice shirt.
Say, hey, buddy.
I'm not going to wear it to work. I'll move it into hanging out in the garage. So it goes into another level.
Well, these button downs wear down is what you're talking, and you're like, "Hey, old friend, what's going on?" But you can't wear it. It's it's worn out a little bit, or the worst, it gets this little this ring of sweat along the
ring
collar.
Around the collar.
Yeah, ring
just whisk.
It doesn't work when you're an animal and you have hair everywhere on your back and you sweat into your collar of your shirt. It ain't going away with.
That's usually why it has to go.
Let's see how Mad Crack's doing.
Fabulous radio content, isn't it?
Absolutely stunning. Jim Dietlow, today's topic, tips for aspiring homeless bums. How to bathe on a nickel a month.
Hey, you know what? Baby wipes work, man. Literally, I wiped my I didn't want my wife to know. She's like, "You're going to ride your bike all here, and we're going to go see my brother, and you're going to be all sweaty and stinky." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." So I had to wipe my whole body down, and I'll tell you what, that works. Those baby wipes are perfect.
And you're the reason why people are getting kicked out of Walgreens and Starbucks for loitering and stuff. Yeah, attention, we got a 911. We got a guy naked in aisle 7. He hasn't paid for the wipes, and he's wearing a G-string that looks like he got it from Goodwill.
Hey,
thanks for that
visual. Can I pile on that? I did. I go into the bathroom at Walgreens. I got all my biking stuff. And I have all this sweat.
You didn't bring the bike in with you, did you?
No, I pulled it in right inside. I said, "Hey, you guys don't have a bike." I told him, I came in. I'm like that old crotchety guy now. I walk inside and I'm like, "You guys don't have a bike rack out here."
Jeez, when are you going to move to L.A. or Seattle where the homeless just take over a park or just a half a road or something?
Well, let me tell you what. If you go to L.A. or San Diego or anything like that, they have bike racks.
Sight to behold, yeah.
They have bike racks. I don't know how you have a major retail establishment like that, and they don't have a place to lock your bike up outside. That's disrespectful.
Really? 30 and Burr, how many people are riding their bikes to a place that's 30?
It's a half mile from the Erie Lackawanna Trail.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, Jimmy, I go by there, I see thousands of people coming off the trail heading to Walgreens every day. I don't know. They should have they should have a bike tube so those folks can get to Walgreens.
Well, I hope not, because that little stretch of Burr Street between the Erie-Lackawanna Trail and Walgreens is quite possibly the most dangerous place to ride your bike in America.
Absolutely.
Because the road has no shoulder, and there.
Well, we better get a union guy out there to start playing sidewalk today.
Why can't there be a little bit extra apron on the side for the people to ride their bikes, Mad Mac? Hey, you ride your bike. I saw you do it out here with a Trump sign on a hockey stick.
But,
hey, hockey puck.
But see, when I reach down, I got two things. I got brass down there. I just get on and ride. Jimmy, I got to tell you this.
Where do you lock your bike when you go to a place without a bike rack?
Do you know God made trees? Lock it to a tree.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees in the Walgreens parking lot, okay?
Walk around the side of the building. There's always something to do.
There was nothing to tether my bike to. So
Jimmy,
I went here. I'll tell you what I did. I went in there and I got a shopping cart. I pulled the shopping cart out, and then
you lock it to that.
I locked it to the shopping cart, and I said, all right, if they want to steal my bike, which is a nice Bianchi bike, if they want to steal my bike, they're going to have to lift up the bike and the shopping cart and put it in the back. So my wife pulls up from Gary. She goes up and she texts me that I'm in the bathroom. She says, "Hey, I'm going to sit out here and watch your bike. It's only locked to a shopping cart." And I'm like, "No, just don't worry. No one's going to steal it." But it was a problem that they didn't have a bike rack, and I wasn't happy about it. And
you should talk about it on the radio, because you are a radio guy.
Yeah, then buy them a bike rack with your dough, Jimmy, and put one out there. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Sponsored by WJOB, the bike rack everywhere. You could do that. Put your little.
Hey, I will give you this one, Jimmy, for a bike riding adventure. I went to a big national tournament. One of my kids was in for soccer. I think it was down in Louisville, and I brought the bike with, and I'm going to ride from the hotel to all the different fields, and it said on the map they were only less than 10 miles. Yeah, no problem. Turned out the bike path, though, to get to the field would have taken me about 25 miles. I'm like, what? So I said, the hell with it, man. I went right down the ramp on the expressway and took the expressway straight to the field. Caught a little hell from that from a couple cops.
On your bicycle?
Yeah, right on the shoulder.
So was it like I-65 or something like that, or what?
Whatever the hell I got down in Louisville, I don't know. It was like, 7
wait a
lanes
second.
each way, but
so wait a second. You go down the ramp, you get on the expressway going 12 miles an hour on your bike in the way in the shoulder, and people are going by you at 70, 75 miles an hour?
70, 80, whatever. Yeah, no, I'm going about like 19, 18, 19, 20. I'm on the skinny tire bike that time.
Do you realize how dangerous that is?
Jimmy, you didn't realize how dangerous it is listening to your show?
I heard somebody laugh in another room over here. They're not supposed to laugh at stuff that's at my expense. Don't people understand that?
Relax,
anyways, why'd you call?
Why'd
you call? What's
I have a one for you, Mad Mac, when you're done.
Go ahead, man. You hit it, Billy.
All right. So I was looking at the paper yesterday at the Times. Did you happen to see the advertisement for the event for the Lake County government?
I did not, though.
Okay, wait.
Or what?
No. You have to look at this. I actually cut it out and brought it in because I just was going, all right, if Mad Mac calls on the radio, I have to have at least somebody try to go on this. It's Thursday, April 26th. It's called Demystifying Government. Come learn how your county government operates. And it has the auditor, the assessor, a Lake County councilman, a Lake County commissioner, and a Lake County treasurer. And are all going to come and demystify government. Now, what I thought was really interesting, these are the same people involved with passing the county option income tax, doing it at the same time on a Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning when everybody's at work.
Actually, you know what? I did see that, and I noticed the asterisk on the bottom, and I went and looked what the asterisk said, and it said, some of these folks may not actually show up and may be substituting as they may be under indictment. So I thought, well.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for
So
the call.
if you have a chance to go to that, I would appreciate that because I have to work, but that would be an interesting panel discussion put on by the IU Center for Urban and Regional Excellence.
No, that's not who it's really.
I'm looking at it, and it's sponsored by the School of Public and Environmental Affairs Northwest, one of Jimmy's schools he was kicked out of during his career.
Spia. You know what's
Demystifying Government, Thursday, April 26th at 10 a.m. Don't miss it. Please let me know how that goes.
Demystifying Spia. And Spia, when I was there, and I did get kicked out, yes, Spia had more pot dealers per capita than any school in America. Hey, dude. What are you Are you in Kelly? You in this business school? No, I'm in Spia. Oh, really? Can I buy some weed?
Really? I don't know what you're talking about.
Baker, what'd you get, Spia or Kelly?
Kelly.
I know that. But there were.
You've asked me that for the last 20 years.
Well,
I'll bring my sheepskin in if you bring your sheepskin in. How about that?
It's around somewhere. It's in that big pile in the garage.
Next to the workout bench.
Hey guys, just stay on the line. Carl's up next, and but I gotta hit some sponsors. Ryan's gesticulating wildly. All right, be right back.
Corellis Roofing offers careers, not just jobs. So if you're looking for a career, this could be a good place for you.
Roofing is a hard job, but it is rewarding. My name is CJ Benessa. I am a steep slope roofer at Corellis Roofing. I go to sleep every night feeling proud that I accomplished something, I was a part of a team. I'm doing something that needs to be done. People are gonna need roofs forever.
If you're willing to work hard, we have a place for you at Corellis Roofing.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by Committee to Elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these airways before talking about my family charity, its events, and the groups it supports. Now I've decided to run for your North Township Board. I am well qualified and ready to work for you. Elect John Salzader.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
Hey, 748 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Delo, host of JED in the region. Thanks for joining us here on the Voice and Face of the region. You can also watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and also listen on AM, FM, and on the TuneIn app. Traffic around the city is tight from basically from 95th. Baker, we can hear that.
What?
You're like harumphing like an old man over there.
You left them
I
because I was
can hear
away.
it.
Now
I'm trying to
over
do
here
the
and I think it's
traffic.
cleansing breath.
People pay good
and
money
then you're
for
like
this.
telling me now you can hear it?
294. Allow extra time to O'Hare. You got it bad around the Stevenson and as you approach O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford. It's gotten bad on the merge and then on the southern end of the Dan Ryan. I wouldn't go that way right now. Watch the Bishop Ford. As you approach downtown, though, Jane Byrne isn't that bad. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman are good. I-65 has a mess, and that is on the southbound. You have an accident on the right lane at 61st, not too far from the Carpenters and Millwrights new training facility. That has also created a delay, some sort of gaper's delay, on the northbound from 61st all the way back past 30. So I-65 right now bad in both directions between US 30 and the Borman. And taking a look at, thanks a lot to Napleton River Oaks Honda for sponsoring that. Let's take a look at the weather. That, of course, is kind of the big topic on everybody's mind these days. And that is that it's snowing right now, and it may continue that way up until about noon. It should top out at about 38 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. Right now it's 28 degrees with a 20 to 30 mile an hour wind out of the west-northwest. It is a blustery winter day. The rest of the week, highs in the mid to upper 40s, and Wednesday is your rainy day. Thanks a lot to Laborers Local 41 for sponsoring that. And, of course, I am an alum of that fine union. Don't forget that today at 6:30 at the Munster High School Auditorium, there is active shooter response and school safety awareness presentation. How to respond to an active shooter, facts and statistics, what parents, staff members, and students can do to help. This meeting is open to the public. It's tonight at 6:30. And for more info, contact Munster Police Department, 219-836-6639. Bill Baker's with us. Also joining us is Mike Mellon. Mellon, you are here to do the next show, right?
Yeah, I was going to help Christian Jorgensen out a little bit, talk to him about his run for county council, and kind of go from there.
Mike Mellon has hosted this show for me in the past, and hasn't done it in a while, and I'm trying to recruit him for for my Johnny Carson schedule over the summer.
I got to tell you, you've got so many talented people these days that work here. You certainly don't need to downgrade to me. There's no question about that. I just want to know, why doesn't Baker wear a headset?
Oh, why do you think?
I mean, really?
Why are we that vain?
Like both of you guys are both, used to being on leashes, so maybe that's why. I mean, I see that you're tethered to the, panel like the man.
Well, I like to do things appropriately. I don't know what that kind of
plus,
means.
Who's been using that before you got here, Mellon?
So you're saying the people of WJOB have some kind of
I don't know. There's a lot of baby wipes around, but I don't know. I mean, hey, I know you like to try hats on when you go to the store. But
I do like to throw on a hat now and then, see how it looks.
After D-Load rides all the way to US 30 and then he goes and tries
soaks himself with baby wipes. Yeah, I heard that part of the show.
Try the fitted hat on and then put it back.
Jim, that's one of the reasons I don't want to try to fill in for you, because I don't think I can do that level of stimulating radio that you guys pull off on a day-to-day basis.
You're right. Ken Davidson used those headphones.
Ken's a fine human being, I'm sure. They're perfectly
fine. But he's got a
fine.
big fat head and it's a little bit greasy. Hey, it's 7:53 in the Calumet region. Let's take a couple phone calls. Mellon's just going to sit here for the last little bit. Hey, Carl, how you been, man?
I'm doing all right. So, don't for Mr. Baker there, don't be disrespecting baby wipes, because let me tell you, when you're a Marine in the field, or you got to do 2 weeks, 4 weeks out in the middle of nowhere, that becomes your shower. That takes place of all the water you can't use, and it is the only civilized feeling you'll have while using the restroom out in the middle of nowhere.
Carl, everything's relative. I mean, war zones and US 30 at Walgreens, I mean, those aren't the same.
Well, perhaps, but I was going to say I would forego packing away skivvy shorts and go commando for the time, because I had to find a space for the baby wipes.
Yeah, I think what Baker's trying to say, it's a fine product. It's just the use of it by Jim Deedlow is questionable.
Well, that and again, the bathroom at the Walgreens will probably never be the same again.
To further extend that, I'm standing there in my biking shorts and nothing else, and one of the workers walks in, and he just looks at me and he goes and he sits down right next to me, like 2 feet from me, and just lets go a barrage, man. It was an ugly moment in region history all around.
Okay, there's
I'm sorry.
I'm going to spend the rest of the day blocking.
Yep, chew on that, Northwest Indiana.
How are those Cheerios going?
What's going on, Carl? How are you, man?
One last thing, sir.
Sure.
I left Ryan a note for you to give me a call whenever it's convenient.
Yes, all right. Ryan, give you a call?
No, you.
Oh, me to give you a call? Sure. All right.
Yes, Mr. Deedlow.
Mr. Deedlow, we're not in the military. My dad's not here.
Yeah, but when you spend a week ducking the guy, I guess he's got to try to show you some respect. I mean, it sounds like he's been trying to get a hold of you.
Hey, shut up, Mellon, all right?
Wow.
Rough crowd. See, all right, I'll call you. I will, Carl. Talk to you. Thanks.
I'll write that down. He's got it in his notebook, so don't worry.
What makes you think I'm ducking the
Well, he said, "I'm trying to get a hold of you." It was like, Mr. Tilo, could you please call me back? It was horrible. I felt bad for the poor guy.
I am a pretty good ducker.
Yeah,
there's
I know.
no doubt about it. I
tell.
understand that. Mike Mellon's here, and Mellon. How is it like being the first husband of a Munster councilwoman? Huh?
It is fantastic. I tell you, you get to watch her make a lot of the same mistakes you made. But I've watched Leanne kind of come into her own, and she's really got a sense of. She has a better sense of the role, I think, than I ever did. Where in terms of what her responsibilities are and what they aren't. I mean, that's one of the things I think you bump into quite a bit is you start thinking that you're in charge of everything, and you're not really. There's certain things that you need to let different agencies or different governmental entities handle because that's really their role. And so I think she's got a terrific sense of that. She's a good leader, so it's impressive to watch.
Seeing Leanne, and she seems to be in a pretty upbeat mood about being on the Munster Council. It's a lot of work. You don't realize at that local level. And then I just remember when you were on that council forever, you seemed exasperated a lot of the times. She doesn't seem that way. And I'm just going to make that judgment.
Yeah, I'm a different personality. Honestly, I'm the kind of guy, I take everything personally. I can get riled up and so on and so forth, and I get very passionate about certain issues. And that's just the nature of who I am, So whereas she is a little more heady than I am. She can, separate, that's, even though you're going into a project or going into a decision, she understands the disagreement. I always believed in my heart of hearts that if I could just sit down with the person one-on-one and explain it, then they'd see it my way. How could they not? I mean,
okay, Baker.
It was so logical. But that didn't happen. It would tear me up inside.
So once you leave a council like that, and you were there during the flood, so you had some pretty intense time. Do you miss it?
Not really, because when I left, I was kind of ready. I had done it for 8 years, and I feel like, for me, after 8 years of doing a job like that, a volunteer type of thing, whether it be the Boys and Girls Club, you're on the board of that, or you're on the Chamber of Commerce, or you run for a political position. After 8 years, you kind of lose your intensity, you lose your passion for it. So I was ready to get out and do other things and try other things.
Both of you guys, you and Baker both, do a lot in the community. Baker's still on a couple of boards, planning commission here and there, and I've always kind of questioned, why in the hell are you doing this? But there really is a part of what makes communities move is that if good people will just give a little bit of their time for a portion of their career, and especially if they're not going to make a career out of it, I mean, that's how communities move forward. You agree? I mean, if more people would think like you guys are just, hey, man, I got to give a little bit here, and then I'll be done. Yeah. But that's my job. I got to give to my community one way or another.
I've told this story before, I think, probably on the air. But, there's a different set of listeners right now, so we'll tell it again. When I was, just got out of college, I was living in Chicago, and I had met my wife there. And, we were living in the city and enjoying life. And I was commuting back to Northwest Indiana for my job. And I remember Skip Knapp and Lou Green called me into their office. And they said, hey, what's your deal? And I said, what are you talking about? They go, what's this living in Chicago and commuting back here? I said, well, I like the city. And they go, when are you going to move back here? And I said, well, probably never. And they said, whoa, that doesn't work. You can't be a community banker and not live in the community. That's the reality of it. You have to entrench yourself in it so much. And they go, we don't care what you do. You can be on the Boys and Girls Club board. You can do Chamber of Commerce stuff. You could be, in politics if you want to, whatever interests you. But you've got to give something in some capacity or it just doesn't work. And I took it to heart and I moved back. And I completely understand what they're talking about because I've seen bankers, I've seen business people who try to do business here and not live in the community, and it just seems fake.
I can name one bank that is really big on that, by the way, and I've been very critical to them up front.
What's the name of that bank, John?
I'm not going to do that. I took my business out. I'm like, dude, you don't live here. You don't know anything about it. I'm out. Boom. But anyways, you're right. It's not just the banking part of it. All of a sudden, then you got kids in a community and so forth. And so now you're on an elected board. I mean, that's going an extra step. I mean, that being on a town board is a ton of work.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
doing
no
what
question about
Baker's doing on the Little Cal Commission.
Not as much work. I'm just
Absolutely. Move on up to that.
Not as much work, but Mike's story is different. From mine. I mean, I was gone like you for 20 years. I wasn't coming back, and I'm here for a reason. And one of the things
Polish woman.
Well, no, she didn't know. Absolutely not because of a Polish woman. We were not coming back, but we ended up here through the circumstances, and part of that is, there's a reason that we're here. I don't know what it is, but it's to, give back to the community as well.
Talk on the radio.
Absolutely. So
Well, just
help my friend buy a radio station and make it, I don't know what it is, but it's on the radio.
It's a tremendous success.
It's
Just ask me, I'll tell you.
It is. It's terrific. It's
Hey,
really
he's
done
Mike
a nice job
Mellon.
with
He's gonna host the next show. It'll be a paid show by the Lake County. No, it's by a candidate.
The committee to elect Christian Jorgensen.
There you
That's who
go.
it is.
Okay, so it will not be the Munster or the Republican show.
Yeah, and I don't I don't, like I said, I think that you do things in your life and then you move on. And I used to host a lot of shows here. I used to be on the station quite a bit, and I've sort of moved on. I don't do that anymore because it's not that it's not an important or an interesting job. It's just I did that, and now I'm doing different things, and that's just the way life.
What
works.
are you doing?
But every now and then,
What are you doing
Actually,
for
I'm
your
taking
community?
flying lessons right now. So.
Flying. That's not doing anything for your community.
No, it's not.
Oh, really? It's all about you. I got it.
Oh, he went from this servant to just doing selfish
I did that
things.
already.
Well, I am on the election board still, so I'm still doing that, and I do have a little bit of involvement in the.
They
in the town.
do very little. That's true.
Hey, he's Mike Mellon, and if you want him to take one of the days or something over the summer when I'm only working 4 days a week, just give him a call or run
Except
him down.
Friday.
Yeah. Hey, Billy Baker, Mike Mellon, thanks for coming in, guys, and sitting with me and finishing off the show. All right, guys, we're going to head out. Baker and I, we're going to vacate the studio. We're going to end this session of Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube, and I believe they're going to restart another one when the candidate